So I want to welcome everybody to Quarantine Break. I'm Kiana, founder of Eat Soccer. And for our morning session, we're pleased to have executive chef Chris Prosper. Okay, there you are. Chris
I'm
Prosper.
sorry, I had a phone call. Sorry.
Okay, and he's the owner of Eat, Live, Prosper. And he has catered and cooked for private clients, done events in and around New York City and up and down the East Coast. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So what are the culinary arts and what sparked your interest in becoming a chef?
Well, the culinary arts is I mean, I gotta put it in a nutshell. It's an art to just you can't. It's a putting plates on a having a plate is an empty canvas, and you're designing the food. So it's like it starts from the heart and it comes out from your hands, and it's just amazing how when you look at a blank slate, a plate, and you start building on it, and you start putting things together and piecing it together. As far as like going into the supermarkets and getting your orders in and shopping and how you create things in your head and then put them on a plate. I mean, it's just amazing to have the ability to do that.
So what sparked your interest in becoming a chef?
It's just family, growing up watching different people cook different things. I mean, I'm from the island, so it's not uncommon that we, going back and forth to Dominica, I would see, you see like a cow being slaughtered, and you see that, and the preparation it took to get that meat, that steak, and the beef, and people cooking, and how it all brought people together, and the excitement of it when that uncle or that aunt of yours makes that dish, and everybody's like, oh well, you gotta have this, and the recognition and that person got. I get excited about that because I get excited when people eat my food and they it puts a smile on their face. It brightens up their day. That person might have had a day where they had a bad day from work, and they come in and they sit down, and you prepared that one meal for them that just puts a smile on their face. They're like, wow, my day just got better, So that right there, and then learning it from an early stage of my life. I was around 8 years old, and I started cooking, understanding food. So that's what really sparked my interest in that.
Can you share your path to becoming an executive chef, and what was your first job in the culinary world?
My first job, was I was a dishwasher. I started right from the bottom, and to understand, the business, you have to start from there. I started washing dishes, and slowly I started, looking at the cooks, and I'm like, man, I want to get on the grill. I want to get on and do that and cook like that. And I was just amazed how the grill guy would have all these burgers and then these steaks and chicken and know where everything is and the temperature, and watching the saute guy, flip that pan and the flames would shoot up, and it was just like, wow, like it was amazing to me to see that. That's, I don't know. I get excited talking about it now.
So you started off as a dishwasher, and then where did you move from there? What were your next steps to?
I got a little bit overwhelmed, but I started a dishwasher, and from there I started cooking at a restaurant. I went to culinary school, Johnson Wells University in Providence, Rhode Island. So I spent a number of years there. And from there, me and a couple of my friends, we opened up a small cafe. We started doing some stuff there. And then that fizzled out. I ended up moving back to New Jersey, and I got a job. I just started working in different restaurants, and eventually found my way to a restaurant called Paparazzi's, and from there I started doing a lot of personal chef stuff, started meeting people, and that's where I am now.
Describe your typical day in a restaurant as an executive chef. And outside of cooking, what are some of the responsibilities you have?
Well, aside of cooking, you have to be able to adapt to different things that come. It's scheduling, training, orders. It's a lot of moving parts. What else? It's just being quick on your feet. So it's you come in the morning. You have to make sure everything is in before you do anything. I always say when I get in the morning, I used to leave my chef jacket off, not going in my just my regular clothes, walk in, because it's like you put on that jacket and it's like it's on, it's like, let's go, and that's like, it's like Superman putting on his suit. It's like anything can happen and you're ready for it, So.
How long do you have to, or what time did you have to come in, for instance, to prep before the restaurant opened? What is that like?
Well, the prepping is like, it's like as an executive chef, you don't do as much as prepping. Mm-hmm. You do as much as receiving and quality checking your products. You then hand those products off to your cooks, and your prep people that put all that stuff together. You are the gatekeeper in that process. So the food comes in. If it's not up to your standards, you got to smell the seafood. You got to touch the vegetables. Make sure it's not mushy. Make sure everything's quality checked at the door. So, you being an executive chef, you're not really so much cooking and prepping stuff. It's you're just handing it off to other people, but you have to give them the right product to make sure that, they're doing the right thing,
Like a lot of us watch maybe Top Chef or the Gordon Ramsay, show. So are you the person who's checking all the plates before they go out, or you just kind of?
Exactly. You stand on that line and you watch those plates go out, and you make sure that everything is perfect, So, it's that's right there is a tough job in itself, because you have the cooks that they're busy. They have every ticket in the restaurant, So if you have a 200 seat restaurant, that one cook has got that 200 people in his hands right there. He's looking at every ticket that comes in, every piece of food that goes out of that restaurant. Is those cooks are cooking it, and you have to be the one to make sure that every plate looks perfect every time. And if you send it out, then it's not perfect, then shame on you. It's like but if you have the passion, when you have the passion to do it, nothing gets by you. Everything has to look perfect.
Who determines what the plates look like? How the food is plated? Is that something that you determine, or is it predetermined? How does that work in a restaurant?
Well, it depends. It all depends. I mean, if you work for a corporate place, they tend to have their corporate chefs that make the menus, and they say, okay, I want this like this and this like that. But even with so, like with me, when I did work in a corporate setting like that, I did specials every day. So my specials, I plated them. I showed the cooks how to plate them. So that would be me. saying, hey, I want this, this, and this, and this to look like this. We would, I would make the specials for them and show them exactly how I want it done. And they would execute it.
What are some of the funny and or stressful things that have happened in your line of work?
One of the funny thing is that happened to me was a guest telling me that I made them a capelli. It's a angel hair pasta, and the guy I went to the table and the guy was determined that it wasn't angel hair pasta. He's like, I came from Italy and I spent all this time out vacationing, and this is not angel hair pasta. And I said, okay, hold on 1 minute. And I went in the back and I got the box of angel hair pasta and I served them. I said, oh, I don't know, but it says angel hair pasta on here. So if there's another angel hair pasta that I need to know about it, because this is what we have. That's one of the funniest things I've ever had to deal with.
What was his response?
He just kind of like, he was sitting there with his wife and he was just like, all right. Just kind of like shun me away, like, like, get out of here. Because you can't, there's no turning back from that. If, the pasta maker that's a well-known pasta maker, I'm not going to say the names, if they're saying, if that's on the box, well, I don't know what to tell you, man, So, but that was that. He shunned me away and that was it. The most stressful thing in the restaurant is people not having the same passion as you. They come in, the servers, they come in and they're just like, or you have a cook that, that might have a bad day, and he's not into it. He's just not. His mind is somewhere else, and, he's not putting the food up right. You have, being a chef on the line, you're like a conductor. So you have to make sure that the steaks and the chicken and the shrimp and the pastas and anything that's small, they're all going out in sync. You don't want to get your entree and then get your appetizers. That's a no-no. So you can't overwhelm the table, and everything has to go out in order. And that by far is kind of the most stressful thing. It's not receiving the right product is another stressful thing, because now you have to think on your toes and make other arrangements.
Have you been in a situation where you needed or did not receive a made ingredient before a service for that restaurant, and how did you figure that out? Or is that common?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was times we had to. Man, I wouldn't say I received the great product, but equipment goes down, and you have to like adapt and figure things out. I'll give you a perfect example. It's like when I was in the restaurant, we lost our pizza oven. And we didn't have we made our pizzas in-house, that with the dough, from scratch. We made the pizza dough, we made the pizza sauce. Only thing we didn't do was make the pepperonis, and the cheese. And we didn't have that pizza oven anymore. So we had to adapt and get I had to get an oven that can stay at 500 degrees all the time, and then put pizza stones in it.
Oh, wow.
So, it wasn't, it was kind of, the same, but we kept it up. It was a little difficult. It was a little difficult, but with for the oven, end up using the back ovens, and at a certain time, we would have to make sure that everything that we had to cook, we had to prep that day, that went in that oven for dinner time, was out, was done. So because dinner was busy, lunch was you have your lunch crowd, but dinner, forget it. So I was running pizzas back and forth, and just I that right there was a major thing to you had to think on your toes. You couldn't just say that guest that came in and that they want that pizza that we had. They don't care about that. They don't care your pizza oven's down. Like, you don't have no pizza? I'll go some, and who else wants it but the kids? So once you start disappointing the kids, the parents, they go someplace else, So, you lose business that way. So you gotta, you solve problems right away, like that.
So what's your favorite cuisine to make and why? Or favorite type of cuisine to make?
Um, you know, I dabble with a little bit of Asian fusion cooking sometimes. I think I I love it, um, and it could be challenging. So I like things that challenge me. Not everybody can make sushi. As simple as as simple as it looks, and as simple as it seems, not everybody can make that right. So I play with that sometimes, different ways and different things, and I go to a lot of different Asian restaurants and try to and get inspired by doing different things and soups, and me and my wife, we go to this restaurant here, and they have this thing called roti canai, and I tried to make that. I made it at home. Now me and my wife would go out, and we're like, and she's like. You're thinking about something. I say, yeah, because I'm thinking about how I'm gonna make this. So definitely get inspired by Asian cooking, and that the Italian thing. It's become natural to me. West Indian cooking. I mean, island cooking. That's all natural. Comes in, and it's like, put it in front of me. I'll execute it, no problem. But the Asian cooking kind of just challenges me a little bit, and I love it. I love it. I love a challenge. So,
What would you say is your favorite piece of equipment in the kitchen? Something that you love to use or excited to use.
it's funny to say that. My favorite piece of equipment to use is the RoboCoupe. I RoboCoupe everything. I put everything in there and blend it up. It's like the RoboCoupe and the stick mixer. Because
What are those?
well, a stick mixer is you can make all kinds of sauces and soups and stuff with it. So it looks like a big blender. So it's a long stem with a blender tip on the end, and you can. I mean, I've made gallons and gallons of stuff, with that, and that's one of a thing, making salad dressings. You might think it's easy, but one little thing and you're off, and you make it messed up, and you're like, oh man, I just blew off like 4 gallons of oil, and so it's the stick blender. It's like a go-to tool for me.
And what was the other one that you mentioned? It was like a robe.
Oh, the RoboCoupe. It's just a blender. We use it for you can blend. You can shred cheese on it. You put anything in it. Anything that you want to puree. You put it in. It just blends it up. Turns it into whip.
Can you tell us some interesting things about being a chef or being a member of the culinary arts community that the average person wouldn't know?
Well, being a chef, I mean, it's we the average person wouldn't know. That's a tough one there. I'm trying to think.
Something like the amount of ingredients or volume of ingredients that you go through, or anything in regards to, what goes on behind the scenes that
Well,
the
I,
average person
I look at, yeah, the average person wouldn't know. It's just like um, the trends that go. We look at we look at that. Um, it's the tech behind it. Um, you people don't understand. Some people don't understand. I believe that certain things is gonna be produced by robots. They're looking at, like, now they have I was looking at this thing. They have a thing that does like a fry basket. So it has a hand, and it has the fryers right there. So basically the thing's you're gonna drop fryers in there, fry in the fry basket, and the thing's just gonna drop it for you, and it's gonna take it out and put it in the container for you. So there's a lot of tech stuff going on in the industry now that's gonna take over eventually. And I think the average person wouldn't know that.
And you mentioned, talked about food trends. So do you see or follow how people, maybe they like one vegetable, or how the food industry might promote, okay, this is the next hottest vegetable that people are going to start ordering, and you adjust your menus accordingly?
Well, it's like anything else. It's like, how you call it. It's like, the fashion industry. What was hot back then is coming back, and it's something like where, like, Brussels sprouts was hot back in the day, and now, Brussels, everybody's doing Brussels, this Brussels, balsamic with this, balsamic glazed Brussels and this and that. I love Brussels sprouts myself. My son loves Brussels sprouts. So, but it's like it happens back then and just comes back. So that's the trend of it. It keeps evolving. But history repeats itself a lot. So you can't complain about that.
In addition to being an executive chef, you also run your own catering business, and you cook for private clients.
Yeah.
What are some of the differences in the role of being an executive chef in a restaurant versus being a caterer versus being a private chef?
Well, executive chef in a restaurant, like I said, you're pretty much, controlling a large group of people. You're dealing with, as far as like the staff, you got, if you have a staff of 30, you have 30 different personalities. You have, you're then cooking on a larger scale. So you're trying to appease, if you have 200 people coming in and sitting down in your place, you kind of have to please those 200 people on a larger scale, as far as making sure that food is perfectly done right. It's from what they had last week when they came in. That, with that being said, that right there is different. And then when you're a personal chef, you're catering to that person's needs, their dietary needs. So, and you're trying to please that one person, and you're one-on-one with them. You're one-on-one with their family, or their guests, or whoever they have in their house right at that point. It's more personal. It's more, you're more involved. Like I said, you appeal to their dietary needs, and it's the pairing wines and different things with their food. Yes, you can do that in the restaurant too. I've done that. I paired wines. When I do my specials, I pair my wines with them. So that's kind of, it's kind of personal when I do that with my specials. The regular food, if you come in and you know what you want, and you're gonna get whatever wine you want. Now, if if I'm making, let's say, a Chilean sea bass, and I have this, beautiful bottle of Corton Charlemagne that's going to go excellent with that sea bass, I'm going to recommend that. But I don't get to talk to you about it. You know what I'm saying? When you're a personal chef and you're in that setting, in those four walls with that person, they might allow you to pick the wine, and they might say, hey, make whatever you want, the palate, my palate's whatever. So it's more in depth. It's more, in tune, right? You're right there on the spot. That's one of the differences. I mean, cooking in a restaurant it's such a broad sale. Like, it's just like, you don't get to really see the person, see the guest, unless you're going out there. I mean, but it's just a little different.
What's your prep day like for when you're cooking for private clients?
Prep day like,
Or, what's your typical day like if you have private clients you have to serve on that day?
Well, that it depends. Some of my clients, they just let me be who I am and just go out and just get what I need to get and come back. My typical day is just, sitting down with them right before dinner and saying, hey, this is what we're gonna do, and great. I get the okay about it. Do my shopping, get my stuff done, come back, start prepping, putting stuff together, and then checking on that client, making sure that everything's all right. Dinner time comes, you're presenting that wine, you're doing little tastings, and that's basically it. It's very simple, should I put it? But it's not as complicated as in a restaurant. You're not dealing with a lot of moving parts.
Have you ever received any odd or unique requests from your clients, and if so, what were they? If you can share them.
Let me see. Odd request. What? Well, I have a client that's just very unique in his way. He was wheelchair bound, and he would ask me to go down in the wine cellar, because he had a huge wine cellar. I mean, millions and millions of dollars of wine, and go downstairs and pick a wine that I think that he might like to pair with the food that we're having. And I'm like, I don't know, man, because I don't want to pull the wrong wine. I mean, I go down there and it's like everything is like it's like in Chinese to me, because I know somewhat about wine, but he has different categories, and it was a very odd, but then it turned into a regular thing, So that right there was definitely odd, and I've never really had that experience in that. Even then, I mean, he's in Florida right now, and I still don't. I have other clients, but I still don't have that request. Anything else would be, yeesh. I mean, nothing too crazy that I think that would stand out. I think that was it.
For students who are interested in learning more about the culinary arts and possibly pursuing a career as an executive chef, what resources would you suggest they look into?
I would say, get on the internet and follow your favorite chef. Do your research, see what's out there. really, really dive in, both feet first. Just go in and, see what's out there. Do your research. Do all the. I mean, at the time when I was coming up to be a chef, I didn't have the internet, and I didn't have all these. We didn't have Instagram, and you had to really. You have to really go out there yourself and see things, and then have the money to go into fancy restaurants to see what's going on. And now, as students in the culinary arts, that if you want to, that's what you want to pursue. Everything's at the flick of your finger. Everything. You don't understand something, Google it. Yeah, it's just like I would say it's easier to because information is priceless. Information is priceless. So you get the information and you run with it. You see where it leads you. I had no anticipation of being a personal chef when I was in culinary school. My thing was, I wanted to get to a big restaurant and blah, 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 and I'm going to be the man. And, in time, you get exposed to information, and that information comes to you, and you're like, oh, wow, there's a lot more to this game than just restaurants, you got food scientists, you got food law that, when you have people get called in for different cases and somebody has certain kind of food poisoning or something like that, it's a lot out there that you can do other than just being a chef in a restaurant and being there. I mean, you got traveling chefs that just travel the world. You got it's a lot. It's a lot out there. There's a lot of information out there, and the sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
How did you receive your first opportunity to become or to serve as a private chef?
My first opportunity came in as a guest of mine came into the restaurant and observed me talking to another guest, and then I began to talk to him, and he came in a few other times, and he was actually he was retiring from my client, my main client. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, "Hey, I got a job of a lifetime for you. Would you be interested?" It's not something that you don't have to. He's like, you can still keep your job here and do it, and this guy only wants dinner. He just wants you to cook him dinner, and it's only dinner for two. And I was like, what? I said, dinner for two. And they said, okay, well, where is it? Where is, and it was literally 4 minutes away from my job, my main job. So I was like, I went to see him. We sat down. On the first day, the first day I met this guy gave me, I think it was like maybe like $700. And he said, go shop and make it. And, he said, I want you back here tomorrow night and, shop and make me something and keep the change. And I was like, what? Like, I just met this guy and he's giving me $700 to go shop for dinner for two.
What was the meal that you made that first day?
Oh man. I honestly, it was so many years ago, but I know I made him these because he was telling me that he liked Asian stuff. I think I made him a Chilean sea bass with a miso glaze, and I did these like shrimp rice rolls with vegetables in them. Wow. And what did he have for dessert? He loved chocolate, and I made him like a flourless chocolate cake with this mousse. Now is it. I mean, and I was just like, I still had. I mean, I obviously didn't spend that much money, and I gave him I felt bad. I'm like, dude, I didn't even break $200. You just gave me, $700 to do all this shopping. And I remember, giving him the money, and he's like, no, kid, keep it. He's like, you earned it. It's yours. And right there on the spot, I knew that was the game I wanted to be in. And he hired me, and it was just it was so cool that what he did was he hired me on the spot. It was like, he's like, the fish was cooked perfect, everything that you did for me was on point. Dinner was on time. You did great. And he hired me, and he wrote me a check. He wrote me a check for a large amount of money for I think it was like 3 months. So he was leaving. He was getting ready to leave. It was like spring, but he was getting ready to leave for Florida. And he says, I'm not gonna be here all the time, but I want to pay you in advance so you can come back. And I was like, ah. Wrote me a huge check, and he's like, here you go. He's like, then that was it. I knew right then, like I said, ever since that day, I knew that's the game I wanted to be in. I didn't want to do anything else.
So going forward, what are some of your big culinary dreams? Like, is there a particular person that you would love to cook for, or is there a particular institution you ultimately would love to, work with or partner with?
I'm a big believer in giving back. I would generally love to feed kids, like underprivileged kids, families that can't, that can't afford to do, have the basics. I'd love to get that back to them, and even like showing kids how to cook for themselves. I believe food is life. I mean, it is life, and you need it to get through life. Now, there's a lot of kids that can't understand. They can't boil water. So, I think we should expose kids to those kind of life skills. Should I say? I would love to teach children how to cook. I mean, my kids know how to cook. I teach my kids. I have a 4-year-old. Okay, not right now. So, even my 4-year-old, he stands in the kitchen with me. I have my little girl. She's always in the kitchen watching, and okay. Sorry. And we definitely teaching them how to survive. I mean, it's just basics. You don't have to teach them how to cook filet mignon, but you have to teach them how to cook the basics, so they can get in the kitchen and make themselves something to eat. They don't need all that. Obviously, he knows where to get everything.
Yeah. Lastly, what's the best piece of career advice that you would give your younger self?
Give my younger self. With that, wow, I would definitely go back to probably traveling the world and getting exposed to different cooking, like in Europe, and if I'm with me having no responsibilities at all,
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely backpack it through Europe and going through different, go to France, spend 6 months, 7 months here, just, washing dishes and watching other chefs and working with other chefs and just learning and just because, that, yes, you can learn a lot from like a chef in New York that came from France, but it's nothing like being there, and learning the techniques and how they think, you know. It's just different. So with that, I would definitely have done that different. That's the path I would have taken. When I was 18, I'd have been out of here.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your inspiring story with us as an executive chef and being a member of the culinary arts. For those who want to tune in at 1 o'clock, we're going to be focusing on today's pretend job with actor, producer, director Isaac J. Connor. So make sure you tune in for that. Thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate it.
Thank you.